Alright, we are now on to the most anticipated section, the secret rare full arts. Let's check these out. First up, we got Pinsir, and I didn't know he could, but it looks like he's giving out a big old grin. He's hanging out in a farm with some really cool artwork in the background. This is a great full art card. Let's put Pinsir into S tier, and we already know a lot of these full arts are going to go into S tier, but I'm going to rank them in order of the ones that do. Next up is Sunflora. Also got some pretty cool artwork here. It's all tinted in like some blue, which makes the Sunflora pop even more. Just doesn't quite excite me as much as the Pinsir, so we'll actually give that a high A tier. Next up is Dipplin, and I don't really care for this Pokemon that much, but it is a pretty cool design card. It looks like they're setting up for a festival. This guy on the left has one of the new masks on the back of his head. I like that detail. Let's put Dipplin into high A tier as well. Next up is Poltergeist, hanging out with a kid inside of his room. Not a very cool Pokemon, and this artwork is just not that great. However, it is still a full art. Let's put this into low A tier. Next up, we got a Torkoal full art, and it looks like he's being used as a kiln for this professional potter to make his bases. The initial look of the card isn't really awesome, but the more you look, the more of the story is told, and I really like that. Let's put Torkoal into S tier, but below the Pinsir card. Next up, we got a full art Infernape. Really cool bright card. He takes up the whole space. The only downside of this card is since he takes up the whole card, it almost looks more like an EX card than a full art card. Let's give Infernape S tier, but I'd put him right between Torkoal and Pinsir. I still like the Pinsir card better. Next up, we got full art Frostlass, and it looks like she's creeping around a traditional Japanese building, and the way she's coming around the corner, it's really creepy. I don't really like Frostlass, but because of that cool design, we'll give it a low S tier. Next up, we got Phione, and the way they designed the artwork, it almost looks like it's a picture of a painting. The whole card has like a texture to it. Overall, pretty cool card, but I wouldn't say I love it. Let's put the Phione card into high A tier. Next up, we got a Cramorant, and it looks like he's in the middle of town with everyone running around. Everything is blurred except for him. Pretty cool depth of the card. Let's give Cramorant a high A tier. Next, we got a Heliolisk, and he's running across the water just like the Basilisk lizard in real life that runs across water. Pretty cool design here. I don't love the Pokemon, however. Let's stick him in high A tier. Next up, we got Wattrel diving into the water. The only thing I wish they added here was some kind of Pokemon fish that he's trying to catch, but overall, it's a pretty cool card. I don't think it quite deserves S tier, but let's put it at the very top of A tier. Next up, we got Chimecho hanging out next to some wind chimes. Everything else is blurred, but Chimecho is focused in. It's kind of designed as if a photographer took this picture, so that's pretty cool. Let's put Chimecho right in the middle of A tier. Next up, we got Enamorus, which is a legendary Pokemon. I'm not necessarily a fan of this Pokemon, but this artwork is extremely unique, and I really like the design of it. Let's put this into S tier right below the Pinsir. I still like the Pinsir card the best so far. Next up, we got a Hisuian Growlithe, and he's looking like just a good old boy. You can see he's jumping up on his trainer's legs, trying to get some attention. You can see patches of sun coming through the cloud, landing on his face and on his chest. Really love the design of this card. Let's put Hisuian Growlithe into S tier, and I think he's actually going to dethrone the Pinsir card, just barely. But I would equally love to pull either one of these cards. Next up, we got a Probopass. Looks like he's pretending to be a statue in the middle of town. Really not a fan of this Pokemon, but this artwork is pretty cool. Let's put Probopass into S tier, but below the Torkoal and Infernape. Next up, we got Timber carrying up some 4x4s to help out a construction crew. You can even see the 4x4s are notched because they're going to be used as braces for the roof. And in the very back of the card, you can actually see a girder. And even farther back of the card, you can see houses and mountains and fields. The depth of this card is absolutely awesome. This definitely goes into S tier. The hard part is going to be where to place it. I think I'll put him right below the Pinsir and the Hisuian Growlithe. Next up, we got a Lairon with an oil barrel in his mouth. It looks like he's in some kind of recycling center. Pretty cool artwork here. Let's put Lairon into low S tier with the Frostlass. Next up, we got Applin, and once again, they go with the cop-out of just sticking him with a bunch of apples. However, the artwork of this card is really good. Just look at the detail of that apple tree. You've got a cabin house in the background. You can see another apple tree in the background. Really just a beautiful card. Let's put Applin straight into S tier right after the Timber card. Next up, we got Tatsugiri. Again, really not a fan of this Pokemon. Pretty unique artwork though. Pretty cool card. Let's put Tatsugiri into high A tier. I'm gonna put him below the Diplin card though. I think I like the Diplin card better. Next up, we got a full art Chansey card. Chansey's carrying a stack of trays in a rush. You got Snorlax taking a nap in the back. You got a Blissey working the front counter. And then you got a Bellsprout, a Psyduck, and a Ditto walking around the main lobby. Really like this card. I'd love to pull it. Let's put Chansey straight into S tier between the Pinsir and the Hisuian Growlithe. Next, we got a full art Eevee card, and this card is beautiful. We got 8 Eevees hanging out inside somebody's house. You got sunshine coming through the window. You got one Eevee playing with a Hydreigon toy. You got one Eevee taking a nap in its bed. And the overall artwork of this card is awesome. This is gonna be one of the most sought after full art cards, I've got a feeling. Let's put full art Eevee at the very top of S tier. Next up, we got Sinistcha EX full art. Terrible card, terrible Pokemon. I would be sad if I pulled this. We're putting Sinistcha EX into F tier. It would just be a pure waste of a pull to have that card. Next up, we got Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Definitely cooler than that last one, but still not that great of a card. It would be a waste of a pull. Considering it's a secret rare, let's put that into C tier. I would not be very glad if I pulled that. Next up, we got a Macargo EX secret rare, and it looks like he's terastallized. You can see at the top of his back. Little bit of a cooler card than that last one. Let's put Macargo somewhere in the middle of A tier. Pretty decent card. Next up is Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon EX. It's just like the last mask card, but it does look a little bit cooler with the red on it. I'm pretty neutral on this one, so let's just throw him into B tier. Next up, we got Palafin EX striking some kind of pose. Again, I'm pretty neutral on this card. Let's throw Palafin EX into B tier. Next up, we got Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX. Again, just like the other two. It's cooler than the Teal Mask card, so let's put it into B tier. Next up, we got Luxray EX. Pretty decent card, but I'm pretty neutral about it. Let's put that one into B tier as well. Next up, we got Iron Thorns EX, and this is a really cool looking card. The background really makes the Pokemon pop with that contrast. Really great design. Let's put this one into S tier behind the full art Probopass. Next up, we got Screamtail EX full art, and again, a pretty cool background on this card. A lot of colors, really good detail, nice card. Not as cool of a Pokemon, so we'll put him in S tier, but let's put him at the bottom of S tier. Next up, we got Greninja EX. Pretty cool looking card, but doesn't really blow me away. Let's stick Greninja in A tier. Next up is Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. Just like the other Mask EX cards, not that cool to look at. Let's stick him in B tier. And next up is a Dragapult EX card. Decent card, but nothing crazy going on here. Let's stick him in low A tier. Followed by Blissey EX. Pretty similar to the Dragapult card, nothing special going on. Let's put Blissey EX in low A tier as well. And we got Blood Moon Ursula EX. Unlike the last two, it's got that really cool background with different colors going on. I really like this card. Let's put Blood Moon Ursula EX in low S tier. Next up, we got our trainer full art cards, and first up is Caretaker. Pretty decent card, but nothing too special. Let's put Caretaker in A tier. Next up is Full Art Carmine, same thing here. Let's put Carmine in A tier. And we got Full Art Hassel, A tier. Full Art Kieran. I like the colors in this card quite a bit better. Let's put Full Art Kieran in high A tier. And we got Full Art Lana's Aid. I know this is a pretty popular character and it's got a lot better background going on here. I think the Full Art Lana's Aid deserves low S tier. And we got Full Art Lucian. Let's stick him in A tier. Next is Full Art Perrin. I could see this being a pretty popular card. Let's put Full Art Perrin in low S tier. Next, we got a Full Art Sinistcha EX card. As I've said before, I really don't like the design of this Pokemon, but the artwork in this full art is actually decently cool. We'll stick Full Art Sinistcha somewhere in A tier. And we got Teal Mask Ogerpon EX full art. Just a typical EX card, nothing too special here. We'll stick him in A tier somewhere. Same with Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon EX. We'll put that in A tier as well. And the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX card will also go into A tier. Next, we got a Greninja EX full art card, and the design of this card is awesome. It looks like we got paint splash spilling everywhere in all different colors. Really good design, tons of colors. Love this card. We're gonna stick this Greninja EX card up in S tier next to Infernape. I think I actually like it better than the Infernape card. We'll put him in front. Next, we got Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. Same story as the other Mask EX cards. We'll just throw that somewhere into A tier. Next, we got a full art Blood Moon Ursaluna EX card, and he's drinking lava out of a volcano. In the back, you can see some Teddiursa's watching and a Munchlax watching. Really cool card overall. I wouldn't say it blows my mind by any means. Let's put Blood Moon Ursaluna in S tier below the Greninja card. Next up, we got Carmine full art, and I love the detail of this picture. It looks like she's out eating street foods, and you can see it's focused in on her face. This is a really cool card. Let's put her in S tier right in front of the other two trainer S tier cards. Next up is full art Kieran, and looks really similar to the last card, except it doesn't have that focus in on the face that I liked as much. Still a low S tier card. We'll just put it right below the last one. Next up, we got an alternate art Lana's Aid, and she's hanging out next to a stream with a Wooper, a Corphish, and a Surskit. This is a really cool looking card. I like it a lot. Let's put this full art Lana's Aid right in front of the Applin card. I like it a little bit better. Next up is an alternate art Perrin. Okay, this is crazy. If you look at the camera lens, and you can see the Hisuian Growlithe. This means that this card matches up with the full art Hisuian Growlithe card. That is awesome. This is going straight up to S tier right next to the Growlithe that she's taking a picture of. Next, we're getting into the gold cards, and first up is Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. Gold cards are always really cool, but this Pokemon just isn't the best, and I don't really like the design of the card. We'll stick it into S tier, but somewhere towards the bottom with the trainer cards. Next is a golden Blood Moon Ursaluna EX card. This is much cooler looking than the Ogerpon Mask card. Let's put the golden Ursaluna up into S tier, somewhere towards the top, but not like super high. Next is a golden Buddy Buddy Pofin card. Let's put this at the very top of A tier. I don't think it's quite good enough to be an S tier card. And we got a golden enhanced hammer. Same story as the last one. Let's just put that in high A tier. Next up is golden rescue board. I actually like the design and looks of this card a lot better than the last two. Let's stick this into low S tier. And before we get to the final card, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. And 3, 2, 1, the final card is Golden Luminous Energy. It looks better than the first two golden trainer cards, but not quite as cool as the last one. So let's put this in low S tier right below the skateboard. All right, here is the final tier list, and with the amount of S tier cards, this is looking like a really good set. If you liked this video and want to check out more, YouTube thinks you would like this one coming up next.